For more than a century, one plant has been blamed for a crime it is physically incapable of committing. It is one of the most respected urinary and anti-inflammatory medicines in the European pharmacy, recognized by name on official government monographs. And in America, that same plant gets torn out of the ground every fall, blamed for the sneezing and the watering eyes of an entire season. Both of those things are true at the same time. That is the mystery. You look out at a field in late September, you see a blaze of bright yellow flowers swaying along the roadside, and your eyes start to water. The sneezing starts, the stuffy mornings, the reach for the tissues and the antihistamines, and you do what people have done for generations. You blame the gold. But here is the biological problem with that verdict. The pollen on those golden flowers is too heavy to fly. It is coarse, it is sticky, and it falls straight to the ground. It cannot ride the wind to your nose, no matter how much of it is blooming. The plant Europe keeps on the pharmacy shelf is the same plant America treats as a nuisance. Its name is Goldenrod, and almost everything you were taught about it is backwards. Welcome to nature's lost vault. This story does not start with the sneezing. It starts with two plants that grow side by side in the same fields, bloom at the same time, and look nothing alike. From August until the first frost, they come up together across almost every state in the country. One of them is impossible to miss. It throws up tall plumes of brilliant gold, the kind of color that stops you on a quiet country road. The other one is easy to walk right past. It has no petals, no color, no scent worth noticing. Just plain green spikes that disappear into the brush at the edge of the lot. So when your eyes started itching every September, you went looking for a suspect. And you arrested the only one you could see. The bright one. The obvious one. The one standing tall in the open. For decades, nobody corrected the record. The gold took the blame, and the plain green stalk beside it was never even questioned. Here is the botanical truth that should have cleared its name a century ago. There are two ways a flowering plant moves its pollen. Some plants hand it off to insects. Some plants throw it to the wind. A wind-pollinated plant has to gamble. It releases millions of grains into the open air and hopes a few of them land where they need to. Most never do. They land on cars, on windowsills, in our eyes and in our noses. The insect-pollinated plant plays a different game. It does not need to flood the air because it has couriers, so it grows showy, colorful, fragrant flowers to attract them. And it makes its pollen large, heavy, and sticky on purpose, built to cling to the legs of a bee rather than to float. That is exactly what our golden suspect is. Walk up to it on a warm afternoon and you will see the truth for yourself. The blossoms are crawling with life. Honeybees, native bees, wasps, beetles, and butterflies move from flower to flower, carrying the pollen the way the plant intended. University of Delaware entomologist Doug Tallamy has documented that goldenrod feeds more than 115 species of butterflies and moths in the mid-Atlantic alone, and that at least 11 native bee species rely on it specifically. In the fall, migrating monarch butterflies depend on it to fuel the long flight south. A plant this loaded with heavy insect-carried pollen does not fill the air with anything. It cannot. The grains are simply too big to lift. So if the gold is innocent, who has been making you miserable every fall? Look back at that drab green plant standing a few feet away. That is ragweed. And it is everything goldenrod is not. Ragweed does not bother with petals or nectar because it is not trying to attract anything. It throws its pollen straight to the wind. A single ragweed plant can release as many as 1 billion pollen grains in one season. Those grains are tiny, dry, and so light that they have been measured drifting up to 400 miles from where they started. And it blooms on the very same calendar as goldenrod, August to frost. That is the whole trick of it. The guilty plant and the innocent one stand in the same field on the same days, and only one of them fades into the background. Ragweed is the reason that, by the count of the Centers for Disease Control, as many as 60 million Americans suffer through hay fever every year. Every autumn, university extension officers and master gardeners across the country publish the same correction, almost word for word. Do not blame the goldenrod, blame the ragweed. And every autumn, the myth wins anyway. It was standing there the whole time. Nobody was looking at it. But the real injustice is not just that goldenrod took the blame. It is what we threw away when we believed it. Remember that pharmacy shelf? Here is what is actually on it. The dried flowering tops of goldenrod carry an official herbal monograph from the European Medicines Agency, filed under urinary tract disorders. Germany's Commission E, the expert panel that evaluates herbal medicines, approves it for flushing the urinary tract, for inflammation, and for the gravel that can build toward kidney stones. The European Scientific Cooperative on Phytotherapy lists the same uses, including as a support alongside treatment for bladder infections. The way it works has a name. Goldenrod is what researchers call an aquaretic. It gently increases the flow of urine and the blood flow through the kidneys, without stripping out the sodium and potassium that many ordinary water pills pull from the body. And this is not only old tradition. In a study summarized in the European Medicines Agency's own assessment, 53 patients with inflamed urinary tracts were given a goldenrod extract, and close to 65% of them improved. Doctors were prescribing it for the kidneys and the bladder as far back as the 1200s, when the physician Arnold of Villanova wrote it into his medical texts. Modern reviews describe a long list of measured effects, among them anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, antispasmodic, and antibacterial. Its Old English name was woundwort because it was packed onto cuts and sores. The Latin name, Solidago, comes from a word that means to make whole. A plant we now pull up and toss in the yard waste was, for most of recorded history, the thing you took to feel better. So think about what the mix-up actually cost. Every fall, people look at that brilliant gold along the fence line and reach for the shovel. They tear it out of gardens and spray it on roadsides, certain they are removing the thing that makes them sneeze. There are more than 100 species of goldenrod native to North America, blooming from late summer into fall, when almost nothing else is left for the bees. It is one of the most valuable late-season plants on the entire continent for wildlife, and we have spent a century treating one of the oldest medicines on this land like litter to punish it for ragweed's work. Walk into a pharmacy in Germany or France, and you can still buy goldenrod, standardized and sitting on the shelf, sold for exactly what it has always done. Walk down an American roadside, and you will see it treated like a mistake. Somebody forgot to clean up. The same plant. Two completely different verdicts. One country kept the knowledge, the other kept the myth. This is the unsettling thing about a false accusation. It does not take a villain, and it does not take a cover-up. All it takes is one plant that is easy to see, and one plant that is easy to ignore, blooming on the same day. We blamed the one in front of us because blaming it felt obvious. And once a story like that takes hold, it gets repeated at every kitchen table and every garden center until it simply becomes true. The pollen never changed. The plant never changed. Only the story we told about it did. Goldenrod was never guilty of a single sneeze. It just had the bad luck to be beautiful and to bloom next to the real thing. If this vault changed how you see the wild plants in your own world, subscribe to Nature's Lost Vault so the next discovery finds you. The next vault opens soon.